right, hello everybody. Today we are looking at the science behind phonics. What does it mean? How does it work? And we're reimagining the way we teach phonics. So we're going to look at the 5 misunderstandings about phonics today. The last 2 shifts we've been talking about kind of the importance of listening comprehension was our first one. And then last couple of weeks, we were talking about phonemic awareness, so just the sound manipulation, nothing to do with the letters. But today we're going to be moving into phonics, so matching those sounds with the letters and all the teaching that goes behind that. All right, so misunderstanding number 1. This is the one that was most interesting to me, I think. The idea that learning to recognize letters is just like learning to recognize any other object. But in truth, we have to teach kids to unlearn this mirror variance. So the idea that kids are really good at seeing 3D objects and looking at it from the side or from the front or from behind and knowing that it's the same thing. So for example, a dog. They can see a dog from all different angles and know that it's a dog. It turns, it's the same thing. But when we go to talk about letters, our letters flip and turn like these lovely friends here, the BPDQ. They flip and turn and they change into an entirely different letter when they do that. So that mirror and variance is they have to learn how to unlearn that when you flip it, now it's not just a dog from the other side, it's actually a P. And that makes a different sound and it's a whole different thing. So the visual word, there's actually an area where they kind of store these visual word forms in our brains. So we have to teach them how to do that. And so that's why it's really important to teach similar looking letters on different days. Don't have them so close to each other, as well as having lots of manipulation of letters in your classroom. So this was a really interesting part, just the fact that like we look at 3D things in a different way than how we visually see letters. And so we have to teach them. That's why if you see kids that are flipping letters when they're writing them or writing backwards or different things like that, they're still working on unlearning this mirror and variance. We tend to jump to, oh, they have dyslexia because they're writing letters backwards. And of course that could be, but the more, but another possibility is that they just have to learn how to unlearn that mirror variance. Another misunderstanding is that strengthening phonics instruction means you need to purchase a program. Now, but instead, you just need a solid scope and sequence with instructional practices, and it could be homegrown. Now, in our case, we did, from pre-first to second, we chose to purchase a program, and with our turnover, there was lots of reasons for why we decided to purchase a program, but I feel that the Foundations program that we did purchase does all of these things. Goes from simple to complex. We teach letters in order so you can build words quickly. When we do in pre-first, they start just with specific letters. And we give we're thinking about the letters and sounds that are easily confused. It's been written in an appropriate way and giving frequent opportunities to apply new learning. We're doing this daily, if not multiple times a week throughout the day. So doesn't mean you have to buy a program. So example, if in 3rd and 4th grade, if you're finding some things that your kids are missing, this is something that we could totally work on together to build that into some small group opportunities. But it doesn't have to be a huge program. Next, phonics isn't really worth teaching because English is unpredictable and its spellings are unreliable. I've said it. I'm sure you've all said it. Oh, English is crazy. English is hard. English is this. And that the complexity of it actually makes it even more important to teach all of these things. At first, you might think, okay, there's 44 phonemes or sounds, and it's represented by more than 200 different letters and letters combinations. But when you dig into that, 50% of English words are regular, and we use those words a lot. 36% of them are regular except for one sound, so usually it has to do with the vowels. That only leaves a much smaller percentage of words that don't follow these patterns, and which shows why it's very important to teach. Another interesting thing is that the more kids read and do word study, they help this filing system in our brain that helps us know that things like ing, ble, and ant, they go together, even if they don't make the normal sounds. Whereas these combinations, you're never going to see those in a written word. So the more they read and talk and learn about letters and sounds, they start to figure out, they start to file some of those things away that are going to help how it goes. Okay. And a lot of those other combinations that are in that, what are we at here? In whatever, some percentage that do not follow the rules, they're following something. There's some patterns there. And the more that we do teach those, the easier it gets for students. Misunderstanding number 4. If you have a strong scope and sequence and solid instruction routines, like we talked about earlier, you have systematic finite construction. The one thing that you're missing, or the few things you're missing here, is that practice, assessment, and review. So just remembering with all of our teaching and good teaching, you teach things, you have assessment, formative assessment that you collect to see how we're doing, and then we have differentiation that can be in small groups. That's going to review and give extra practice to those things. And then that's a continuous circle. Same thing with all good teaching. And the last thing is that learning phonics is boring. Hopefully, as you guys, as good teachers, we all know that we can make anything boring and we can make anything fun. And this idea of giving children the pieces of the puzzle to let them figure out how language works, there's actually like endorphins that are created when you let them in on this problem solving journey. And it's really important to let them in on those secrets that we know. And it can be really empowering and really enticing to as students really start to figure this out. So just a little background on the science. After Thanksgiving break, I'll share a few recommendations for making this shift, a few things we've already done at our school. And so I feel really good about this part, and some things that we can continue to work on.